Today we're going to be making a recipe for 3-bean chili. So we're just going to start out with all of our ingredients. So our ingredients are 1 teaspoon of veggie oil, and I'll put them over here as well. So 1 teaspoon of veggie oil. I'm going to use coconut oil because I prefer using coconut oil. And then 2 cups of a chopped onion. I'm going to use a white onion today. 3 cloves of garlic minced, 2 tablespoons of chili powder, 1.5 tablespoons of ground cumin, a half teaspoon of salt, and then we have 1 28-ounce can of ground tomatoes, 2 15-ounce cans of black beans, then drain, and then 1 can of 16 ounces of kidney beans, drained as well, then 1 can 15 ounces of pinto beans, which is also drained, surprise, surprise, and then we have 1 14.5 ounces of broth, vegetable or beef broth, really whatever you prefer. And then we have a half cup of water, a large green onion, which we're going to cut up into like 1-inch pieces, a large sweet red onion, which we're also going to cut up into 1-inch pieces. Then we're going to have some sour cream, some more red and green onion just to have on the side for when we're making it ready to eat. So the first thing we're going to do with our recipe is we're going to get all of our beans. So right here, I just have some of our black beans. So we have a colander. I'm just going to pour them just to drain all the liquid. I always thought that it was weird that the beans are stored in something so salty because I thought then the beans would be really salty. But that's actually not how it works. So the reason they're in such a salty liquid, I'm going to go ahead and rinse these off, these black beans here. The reason that they're so, give them a good shake. The reason they're so salty is so that the skin on the beans isn't as hard and allows them to taste better, and it also gets a more balanced cook throughout the whole bean. So I'm going to go ahead and finish rinsing off these black beans, and then I'm going to rinse off the rest of our 2 other types of beans. So, now we're going to cut the onions. I have 2 onions right here. They're both white onions, and we're going to go ahead and cut them. I'm just going to do a chop, kind of just nothing crazy, nothing too small, nothing too big. And I actually put these onions, I've had them in the fridge for about 20 to 30 minutes before going at them, chopping them. And the reason I did that is so you know when you chop onions, your eyes get teary and you're kind of stuffy, sort of. If you chill them beforehand, it really helps reducing the crying. No one likes crying over some onions. But the reason that onions actually do this is because in the cell of the onion, there's a chemical that's it's known as the lacrimator, the lacrimator. And whenever you cut the onion, the lacrimator goes into the air and it goes into your nose and your eyes, and which are very sensitive areas, and goes into your nose and your eyes and kind of attacks them. And so that causes it to be painful in your eyes, and your eyes tear up, and your nose you get really stuffy. So I'm going to finish cutting these onions, and then I'll be right back. So we have finished chopping all of our onions, so it's just a rough chop. And now we have 2 cups of chopped raw onions. We're just going to put that aside again. Just getting everything ready to go into the pot. Okay, now that we're at the stove, I don't have a Dutch oven, so today I'm going to be using just a large sauce pot. So I already have the oil in there. I'm going to go ahead and start it heating. I'm going to put it up kind of at medium heat just to melt this. And I have a wooden utensil. And I'm just going to kind of move it around just to kind of spread it out evenly. And then the first thing that we're going to add to this, once this is all hot and heated up, is we're going to go ahead and add our 2 cups of onions and our garlic, which I have right here. So I'm going to give this a second, and then I am going to go ahead and pour in our onions, get everything out of there. Here we go. And then we're just trying to get these onions to look translucent. And what's actually interesting is, so I always wondered, I'm going to give it a little stir just to kind of get everything mixed up. I'm going to turn down the heat just a little bit. We don't want to destroy these onions. But what's actually interesting is sauteing onions, or at least white onions, which is what I'm using today. As they cook, they lose a lot of their opacity, which is due to the cell walls breaking down. So you'll be able to hear it, so we can go ahead and hear it. I'm just going to move it around a little bit. And then what's actually interesting is you have to be careful when you're sauteing garlic. So you have to make sure that it doesn't dry up and brown really quickly. So keeping a low heat, so I'm going to turn it down a little bit lower. And then I'm going to just give another stir just to kind of get these onions moving around. And if it looks like you're going to run out of like oil, don't worry, onions have a lot of water content in them. So as they cook, the water in them will like kind of seep out and they will kind of cook in their own water, which is actually really interesting. But we're going to go ahead, put our garlic in there, and we just want to kind of keep moving it around. I'm going to get all this garlic in here because we love garlic. And there we go. And we're just going to kind of keep it moving around just because we don't want this garlic to burn, which is the saddest thing ever. So I'm going to let that go, turn it down even a little bit more just to keep that garlic from burning. And I will come back about in 5 minutes, which is how long it'll take for this these onions to cook out all their water and get nice and translucent. And we'll be back. Okay, so we have our onions and our garlic in the pot right now with a little bit of oil. We're getting a lot of steam. That's just because all of the water that's in the onions is starting to evaporate and go out of the onions. We're not quite translucent yet, but we are getting close. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of the next step ready. And so I've already done part of it. So what I have here is a bunch of spices. So in it we have our 2 tablespoons of chili powder. We have our 1.5 tablespoons of ground cumin. And then we have our 1.5 teaspoon of salt. So it's definitely pretty strong smelling. And then if you're not a big spicy person, I know not everyone is, you can reduce a little bit and then just see as you're liking. And then if anyone wants it a little spicier, they can add to it when they're serving up themselves. So I'm going to say that we're about translucent. Let me see if I can show you guys this. So there you go. It's kind of translucent. They're not as white as they were. So I'm just going to kind of stir it around, make it kind of even. And then I'm going to go ahead and kind of shake in the spice. And then once that's all in, give it a little tap. There we go. I'm going to give it a nice stir. And then I'm going to saute this for about a minute. And let's see. Yeah. Okay, so we've had this onion garlic mixture with our spices inside for about a minute, sauteing, getting all nice smelling and very fragrant. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add like 7 huge ingredients that are going to make a big chunk of our chili. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start with our 2 cans of, our 1 can of ground tomatoes. We're going to go ahead and just put them in. You're going to hear it. That's just all the liquid. Here, I'm going to get a spatula really fast so we can just get all this goodness out of these cans into our pots. Here we go. That's 1. I'm using 2 because I could not find a big enough can, so that is why I misspoke. But you just want to get 28 ounces in there, so, and then you'll be good. So there we go. There's all of our 28 ounces. I'm going to just put these away. And then our next thing going in is going to be our black beans. Well, it's going to be all of our beans. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our vegetable broth. I'm going to pour 14 ounces out for us. Yeah, let me get this on a level thing so I can see. Here we go. Here's 12 ounces, almost there, and 14. Okay. This is where we're going to get all of our, like, yummy brothiness, liquidiness of our chili. Now that we have that in, I'm going to give another little stir around, just getting everything incorporated. And then the last 2 things that we're going to add is we're going to add in, right there, we're going to add in the peppers. I'm back with my 1/2 cup of water. I'm going to go ahead and pour that in. And then, again, doing a lot of stirring. We just want to get everything incorporated. Okay, so now we got this up to a boil. And we're just going to bring it down a little bit just to let it simmer. Okay, it has been 30 minutes simmering. And now we are ready to plate. So I have a ladle in here. A ladle. And I have my bowl. So I'm going to get a good, nice portion. Let's say we're going to do 2. I'm going to put that in. And we have sour cream and some peppers chopped up. So a little sour cream. Let's do a little more. And then we're going to put a little bit of peppers. And here you go.